Good afternoon, Morgan, and welcome back to the channel. In this episode, we actually finish rebuilding the subframe. And for those of you who are new here, here's a quick recap of what we've done so far. And now back to this episode where we start rebuilding the knuckles by installing the dust shields. And with that out of the way, let's move on to installing the bearings. There is a proper torque value for these, but I think 3 or 4 ugga-duggas will do fine. And that's the same for the other side too. Integral links next, and the long bolt just gets placed in temporarily. It also helps me stop losing it, even though you'd be doing well to lose one of these. And now the rear knuckles are ready for reassembly. It's probably a bit too early to fit the upper control arms as well, but it makes me feel a lot better seeing them on the subframe. And now it's the turn of the damper top mounts. These came from Bilstein as far as I remember. Easy peasy. And now let's install the anti-roll bar thingies. And here are the thingies that we installed in last week's episode into the wishbones. Which means we can finally install the wishbones onto the subframe. All the fasteners shown here also come from Limferter, including all the alignment adjustment screws. And even at this stage, the subframe can still be manhandled, and this job is still completely doable on your own. And with this amount of copper grease, the alignment shop should be very happy. Now I'm sure you're wondering why I took my grinder to a perfectly good spanner. All will be revealed very soon. And it's because of these little thingies. Actually, I am allowed to tell you what they are. Anti-roll bar end links. And now you can see the reason for the cut down spanner. This just makes sure I don't tear the end link boot while torquing down the nuts. Just make sure you fit the supplied washer behind the bracket in the wishbone. And a little bit of CV grease onto the end of the drive shaft just stops it sticking to the diff flange to help the next guy that has to take this off. And then we can screw it to the diff, not forgetting the lock washers. And we do it again for the other side. And some more copper grease onto the splines on the other side of the drive shaft. Again, ensuring that the guy who has to take the bearing off next time doesn't lose the will to live. And now the long integral link bolt can be fitted, not forgetting the copper grease for this too. New drive shaft nut. And to install the upper control arms, we have to take them off first. But with the subframe on the floor, that's really easy. I tip my hat to all those guys that can do this with the subframe in the car. And now we can see this multi-link beauty in action. And with the damper fitted, that's this side more or less done. Just a short reminder to leave most of these bolts loose until they're fitted into the car, and they can be torqued down with the suspension at ride height. And we do it all over again for the other side, but this time I used a slightly different process to install the knuckle, and I thought it was a little easier. But I'll let you guys be the judge. And we can tighten off the damper top nuts because they're not dependent on the ride height of the suspension. And the same goes for the integral link bolt into the knuckle. And handy iPhone to the rescue again to help me remember how the level sensor brackets are fitted. And the pile of paper of unused instructions just keeps growing. This little nub feature moulded into the bottom of the airbag spring is designed to fit into the notch on the aluminium knuckle. This will help to stop the airbag spinning out of control. And this time, if it wasn't for the iPhone, I'd have no idea how to refit these brackets, which are used to hold the ABS sensor cables. Thank God for this iPhone. Of course, it's obvious after they're fitted, but they've been really well designed and they fit these upper control arms perfectly. And it seems to me at this stage there's as much copper grease on this as there is aluminium, but that should prevent the sensors getting welded into the knuckle. I basically destroyed the old ones trying to get them out. And here are the cable brackets now fully installed. And that, believe it or not, is an exhaust hanger. new left and right handbrake cables, and they also come supplied with all the necessary bracketry. And while you're in there, every single component of the parking brake gets replaced. New shoes. And the other side, done. And with that, the rebuild of the subframe is more or less complete. But unfortunately, we've run out of time again, and you'll have to tune in next time to see the subframe getting fitted into the car. However, while you're in there, there were a few jobs we did before we actually got to the subframe reinstallation, and you'll see every little detail down to the last nut and bolt. So thanks to all my new subscribers, and thanks to you for watching. See you next time.